Okay, how's my sound? Let me just plug into the monitor so I can check. Boom. Hey, how's it going? So just a quick one tonight. I have to admit, I've been terrible. I was not able to organize with Victor because I am working like crazy. Just end of the month with work, and things are busy, and it looks like things are busy with Victor as well. I've tried a couple of quick calls and texts, but it was all last minute, and so I guess it's just me, and I'm just going to do a very quick one because I have to get back to still working. But how is everyone? I'm really impressed. Actually, I did not think that anyone would show. And there you are. There's Sean Goss and Emily Louise Maitland and nobody Hitop. So yeah, hopefully Victor might notice. I suspect if he's not reaching out, he might be a bit tired. Which happens sometimes. You know, sometimes we need a bit of me time. So how are things with everyone? I guess if I'm going to talk randomly, I can talk about stuff that I've been putting into my Flipboard lately in terms of news and whatnot. And not that way. Let's go that way. More colorful background. But how are you all? What's up? It's finally getting warm, although you know it's going to get cold a few more times before all that happens. Before we finally get into proper spring, and then it's going to be sticking hot. Hey, Lysander 45, nice to see you in the UK. The future is awesome. Tokyo is the future, of course. If only a few hours. Good evening, Stubuya. G'day, Australia. Sound is very quiet. Well, okay, so that's the thing. I can adjust the mic setting modes, and I did this the other day. So this basically cuts down on all the background noise. I'll tell you what, if I do that, it comes a little better. And that I can do very, very, well, it's some fan noise, but you can definitely hear me. How's that? Turn my speakers on, yes. Oh, check it out, ex-Mecca's ex-Izagire from Costa Rica. Very nice to see you. ¿Qué tal, buen? ¿Cómo está usted? Yo no he ido a Costa Rica, pero quiero ir mucho. Porque they have great surfing and stuff there. I've always wanted to go to Costa Rica, actually. Actually, now I've turned out the sound. If the sound is okay, I'm going to turn out the monitor because it's actually quite loud in my ear. So, yeah, it's 1.25 Oyaji, I guess. So here's the thing. I'm still working, so this is going to be a real quick one, 20 minutes. So anything you want, ask me anything. I'll tell you it's Yakuza. I've been trying to get in touch with, well, I got a tweet message from Jake Edelstein. I'm sorry, I'm tired. And he was, I tried tweeting him back, and I haven't been able to get back to him yet, but I want to try to get him back next week. Oh, there's Victor. Hang on a sec, let me just sort out if I can get Victor. Hello? Yeah, well, sorry, because I was like, well, you know, no problem. So you're indisposed. So next week, right? Oh, really? Oh, okay. Well, okay. I won't say that. So I'll catch up with you later. Yeah. So, and you can't join, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm on at the moment, so I'll tell everyone that you send your best, and we'll catch up. Cool. Bye bye. Okay. So actually, Victor's got a lot going on at the moment. So listen, that as guys have sometimes. So no, he can't join tonight actually, but it was good of him to check that. So I think he is he's been kidnapped by aliens. That's the story I'm going with. So what's up? Give me some topics. Bien, y usted? Spangle mayo. Yeah, umaku nai yo. I'm not good, but Shunga, so there you go. So finish Tokyo Vice. It does sound like I am good. I'm a little bit tired and a little bit stressed, but that's okay. It does sound like Victor won't be around next week, so we might be a week back with Jake, but we'll see how we go. I'm trying to reach him myself. You know, it's the way things go sometimes. Good to see you, Raz Al Ghul. So what's up? I'll tell you what. So what have I been tweeting about lately? Let's take a look. So from the news stuff, follow my Twitter when I see the news and stuff that I like to talk about. I've got it here on my little iPad that I love. So in terms of, so I had a debate about the Red Army this morning, which I probably shouldn't have gone into too much. Apparently in the UK there was a Sea Shepherd protest which was disrupted by a Japanese right-wing, he's like a British guy but he supports Japanese right-wing causes, who showed up. So that was fun. Here's a highlight. So NHK Boss, don't know if that'll focus on that. I should actually look at the real-time camera so I don't get the lag. Real-time camera. This is what I should do. I should put this beside the comments. There we go. So this guy is the new director of NHK, who made a couple of gaffes in the great Japanese tradition. You know, he said, comfort woman, and saying comfort woman, he didn't actually use the word sex slaves, but he used the term, the general term for basically military prostitutes. I mean, he used it in that sense and said, hey, doesn't everyone have those? But of course, that got broadcast everywhere as sex slaves, and he thought it was okay. And he's been kind of dodging bullets in Parliament of people trying to call for him to resign before he starts his job as head of the national broadcaster. So he has basically, now he's just assumed the role as the CEO of NHK. He's immediately gone and fired 10 of the other governors on the board of directors of NHK. I speculated that perhaps he'd replace them with sex slaves. I don't know. But, yeah, given that he's already kind of shown a few flaky far right-wing agenda things, as indeed some of the people already on the board already kind of did. Abe, I've always said with Abe, I can live with him having right-wing views or far-right views and revisionist views. That's all fine. Even some of his ideas are actually quite reasonable to me. I mean, when he explains them. The point is that, don't let that interfere with you doing the job right. Yeah, in the end of the day, so long, people can think what they like. They can think that the moon is made out of cheese, or that Elvis is like the central governor bank in America, anything that they like, so long as they do their jobs right, if you ask me. But the problem is that while Abe has reasonable self-control over his mouth, most of his like-minded friends apparently don't. And that's really where the issues start to stem from. It's if they can't control their mouths, then what else can they control? And so then you can't have faith that they're going to do their jobs appropriately. And that's the issue with the new governor thing. But what else we got? A really interesting one actually from yesterday. This is in Japanese. But apparently right now the Japanese government, loading. What if we can zoom in on this? Boom. There we go. I'll let that adjust for focus. There we go. So the Japanese government is basically considering increasing immigration into Japan, allowing 200,000 immigrants into Japan every year in order to sustain the national population at 200,000 people. At 100 million people. I'm sorry, Claude Speed, thank you for correcting me that the moon is indeed made out of cheese. Well, I'm one of those radicals who doesn't believe the conspiracy. But yes. So, it's kind of interesting that what's always happened with immigration policy until now is that it wasn't debated. It was kind of, it was left to the Justice Ministry to kind of decide behind closed doors, where they have slowly been increasing the duration of visas and they have been liberalizing immigration here. In spite of what some people like to rant about on their blogs, immigration is easing up a lot in Japan, and there are more and more foreigners being allowed in. However, it's never really gone into public debate, because every time it goes into public debate, someone like these friends of Abe or like these NHK governors comes in and says, there'll be crime everywhere, or there'll be, it'll be like they look at Europe and the riots in France and all this sort of stuff, and they say that's what it'll be like. And it's kind of, it's one of those political hot potatoes, as indeed immigration is in every country. And I think Japan, I've kind of been actually more comfortable allowing it not to be politicized. But it looks like, according to this, there is a serious consideration now being given within the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, from at least an economic perspective, to sustain the economy. There is a serious need to consider increasing immigration in order to sustain a certain level of population to maintain the economy. And it looks like now they're getting to the point of having public, policy debates about that, which is a good thing. I mean, I think Japan's always been a little bit too sensitive to discuss that, but there we go. They could be letting more of you guys in pretty soon. So that would make it interesting. We have Serge Socio saying that Android is better than Apple. I'm sure it is. Honestly, I'm locked into Apple simply because I've spent so much money on apps. The iPad Mini is awesome. I mean, I've got an Android phone and an iPhone. I have two, one for work, and honestly, I just can't get into the Android phone. I'm sure there's a lot of things that are better than that. But yeah. What can I say? Check this out from Tokyo Reporter, one of my readables, one of the guys to follow. Bada bing, boom. Tokyo cops bust Azabu club for dancing. Call Kevin Bacon. They've shut down another nightclub for allowing dancing at night. I've talked about this before, how there's a lot of rules on the books. I mean, all the way up to the Constitution. I've actually gone, even the Constitution, they're talking now about how rather than changing the Constitution to allow collective defense and exporting of weapons and all that sort of stuff, they're saying, man, we won't change it, we'll just reinterpret it, we'll just apply it differently. And this is what happens in Japan all the time with a lot of laws. A lot of them, I mean, the criminal code was imported from Europe in the 19th century and hasn't been changed, so it's not really applied the way it was originally intended. It's applied the way that kind of fits to the society. And this is kind of a weird one, again, where the laws against dancing date back to the post-war, the immediate post-war period, where a club with women dancing were basically brothels, basically. Men would go there and women would dance, and they would take them out to a room or something like that. So there was there is still a law on the books prohibiting dancing after 10 p.m. at night or something like that. I think they turned into gremlins after that. I think that's the rule if you dance them after midnight. I don't know. So apparently, of course, in Japan, there's huge dance events, there's nightclubs, there's all sorts of stuff going on. But basically, if they ever get out of line, if they're suspected of having drug use, or if there's like too much noise, or if there are fights out on the street, or if there are gangsters going there, rather than confronting the actual issues, they'll just go into the club and raid it and arrest the owners if they find anyone inside dancing, and they'll shut it down. And that's what they're done with this club. So once again, so even looking at this story, I haven't been out clubbing for a while now, so I don't know the particular club in question, Club Village. But apparently, the manager is denying. He says, "I do not acknowledge that dancing was taking place," denying all the allegations. At the time of the raid, 400 customers were inside the club, with 100 of them dancing. But here's the real problem. According to police, a number of residents around the surrounding area of the club had registered complaints regarding excessive noise. And that's the problem. There's too much noise. So they go in and they shut it down and detain the owner for allowing dancing. And he has to deny that they were dancing. So it's like Footloose, except it's in Tokyo and it's the 21st century. Really, really dumb. I mean, let's face it, that's retarded. Shut them down for excessive noise. I mean, that's what they're really doing it for. Why do they have to make up a fiction that it's for dancing? So, crazy, crazy stuff. So this is why you follow my Twitter, follow my Flipboard, because I've got a whole magazine just full of all this sort of stuff. Ahmed commenting that Japan should be picky when choosing immigrants. So even though he wants to come to Japan, he doesn't want crappy immigrants messing with Japan. Well, there certainly is that. I mean, but honestly, there's quality. Even when there aren't many foreigners, there's always quality issues. I think it's one of those things as well that, there's always certain types of people who tend to, immigrate. I mean, you have the adventurers and the travelers and the explorers and the nuts. There's a lot of nuts and a lot of people who don't quite fit in, who also, you always get your mix of weirdos and oddballs and religious people and so on, And it's one reason a lot of like Japanese people abroad and a lot of foreigners in Japan avoid groups of foreigners in order to avoid the other types of foreigners that are sometimes there. And if you increase the numbers, sure, there'll be more crappy immigrants. Question is how do they manage it, and how do they go about it? Do they embrace multiculturalism, or do they try to assimilate people as much as possible? Do they favor people from countries with a higher possibility of assimilation? Well, I don't know. I don't know how it would work, but I'm glad that they're debating it. Claude Speed pointing out that dancing is a gateway to twerking, and we can't have that now. Well, that's right. I'm against tweeting while at work. I'm trying to change the meaning of that. But exactly, Gigi, right. There should be a law against the noise instead, which there probably are, but like I say, they're just being lazy. If you want to read about this kind of thing, about the different enforcement, the incorrect enforcement of laws in order just to get stuff done, this is part of what Tokyo Vice talks about when he gives this kind of orientation day with the police. Hey, Laura 17T, good to see you. People asking where Victor is. Victor is apparently indisposed, which is a shame. I wasn't able to organize with him either because I'm getting slammed with work, which is why this is going to be only 5 more minutes. So it's just a short one tonight. I'm still working. It's just end of February is apparently a busy time for me, which is a shame. And for Victor as well. And Victor's probably not going to be able to make it next week. So I don't know. I'll run back with him, and we might do an irregular show, perhaps on a different night. We'll see how it goes. But otherwise, let's see what else we've got. We've got Chinese web users' reactions to seeing these reports coming out of the UN of what it's like in North Korean labor camps. It's always remarkable. I think a lot of these comments probably come from from Taiwanese people. They're in Chinese, but sometimes they're so clear about clearly critical of socialism and of PRC. It's hard to believe they actually come from PRC. But kind of comments like North Korea today is a very good history lesson for Chinese people. Whoever comes out of those camps must be unrivaled martial arts masters. Some people saying that Guantanamo is even more advanced than North Korean concentration camps, which, why not? But certainly, I mean, you have to ask yourself, if there's any lesson from World War II, surely it's that you can't allow those sort of concentration camps and that sort of thing to ever repeat. And yet, we've been allowing it to repeat for decades in North Korea. And we know that it's going on there. And this is why, if we're going to get into the invasion game, I don't understand why we were rushing into Iraq when you've got countries like North Korea doing what they like. But there again, not that invasion is necessary. And if there's another thing that Iraq taught us, it's that there is no such thing as a quick, clean win or a war. Then the number of people, I mean, again, hundreds of thousands of people died there under the sanctions, and it seemed when the war started there that the war couldn't possibly have a higher death toll than the sanctions. But it turned out that the war even managed to exceed the sanctions, and it's still happening. So it's a messed up world. Claude Speed asking, how well can I read Chinese? I can read Japanese kanji, but I can't really. I can get the gist of Chinese if I'm reading. I can tell what it's talking about, but I can't really read it. Razo Gul, you kept mentioning get Danny Chu on, and that is one of the. Pardon me. That is indeed one of our goals. I think after Jake, he's one of the people I want to get in touch with to get on. We'll see. He's a busy guy, but I've talked with him before. I think we could get him. On a sad note, Paco de Lucia died. Oh, so that's a shame. I'm sorry to hear that. So I'm gonna have to pop off in a minute as well. Let me just see what else we've got. Ba-da-boom, ba-da-boom. In terms of interesting news, I've talked about the other day about the stuff with the Anne Frank books getting vandalized and how that's been a bit misinterpreted. I've tweeted a few articles about face masks. But yeah, that's about it. There hasn't been a lot happening. It's been pretty peaceful. Indeed. Machine 977 asking, did I hear about Egon from the Ghostbusters dying? Yes, and I must admit, now it's always the case. It always used to be, as you go through different ages. It's like when you're like 21 or 22, you're not used to seeing people the same age as you on TV. And so it was always like, oh, look, there's someone the same age as me. They're really young. And then you sort of get to middle age. But now it's like I'm seeing people who I don't associate with being old at all, like Egon from Ghostbusters. And I find out that he's died at 69. And it's kind of wow. It kind of throws you. Now there's people who I like consider to be not old at all, but before I realize that they are. Hey, Victor, looks like you made it. I'm sorry. So Victor's outside at the moment. Harold Ramis, he's Egon from Ghostbusters. But sorry, it's a shame. So it's a shame we couldn't coordinate tonight, and it's my fault as well. I'm slammed with work, which is why I have to get off in a minute. But everyone, of course, wants Victor back, and we might, as we say, if we can't do it next Wednesday, we might do another night, and I'll round back with him. So I'm sorry about that, and that's for my own lack of organization. Paco de Lucia, who's a flamenco player, a dancer, I guess. Or maybe not a dancer, maybe a guitar. I don't know, actually. But yeah, rest in peace. Ahmed is asking, is housing getting cheaper in Japan due to the demographics? It's an interesting question. The thing is that Tokyo has an increasing population, and you've got factors like the upcoming increase in sales tax, which is causing people to rush to buy houses at the moment. So I think there's an overall still a deflationary trend that real estate values are going down, but it is not overall. Probably, they are going up and down. So, hey Victor, good night. Have a good one. And I'm sorry we couldn't sort it out tonight. I'll run back with you a bit after this. But yes, so I'm sorry it was just a short one tonight. I'm going to have to close it down actually now because I'm going to have to get back to work. But it's good seeing you all. And thank you for joining, especially on such short notice. Danny Chu, yes, we're going to get him. Jake Adelstein, we're going to get him first, or Adelstein, I think is the right term. Real sorry we couldn't get Victor, but it's good to see that Victor was able to join the comments. And, he's got a lot going on, but we're going to get him back soon. And, yeah, no, I was looking on the wrong channel too, Gigi, right? I was wondering if he was going to set up and try to get onto his channel. So it's a little bit backwards tonight. A little bit random, but hey, it's good that way sometimes. So thanks to everyone for joining, and we'll catch you all again. I'm going to be back with Tokyo Tonight on Sunday night at 11 p.m. as I do every week, and we're going to be back with 2.5 Oyajis, if not next Wednesday. We might do an irregular session, so keep an eye on Twitter. Follow me, Hikosaemon, and Victor, Japanese for Morons, on Twitter to get the updates, and we're going to catch you all again soon, so take care, everyone. Boom, peace.